Halo, ketemu lagi dengan saya Danny di Danz English. Kali ini saya akan membacakan cerita The Ickabog yang ditulis oleh J.K.Rowling, yaitu penulis Harry Potter. Dan kali ini The Ickabog sudah berada di chapter 9. Spesifiknya ini adalah The Ickabog Indonesia, karena setahu saya masih channel ini saja yang membacakan cerita ini. Selain itu, di channel ini juga kalian akan belajar beberapa kosakata yang kita temukan di chapter-chapter The Ickabog. Dan pastinya saya juga akan menyampaikan intisari dari cerita ini dalam bahasa Indonesia, sehingga teman-teman bisa mengikuti cerita ini. Baik, langsung saja. Chapter 9, The Shepherd's Story. Your Majesty, said Herringbone, hurrying towards King Fred, who just risen from the throne. There is a shepherd from the marshlands here to petition you, sire. He's a little late. I could send him away if your Majesty wants his lunch. A marshlander, said Spittleworth, waving his scented handkerchief beneath his nose. Imagine, sire.
Dashed impertinence, being late for the king,
said Flapoon. No, said Fred, after a brief hesitation. No, if the poor fellow has travelled this far, we shall see him. Send him in, Herringbone. The chief adviser was delighted at this further evidence of a new, kind, and considerate king, and hurried off to the double doors to tell the guards to let the shepherd inside. The king settled himself back on his throne, and Spittleworth and Flapoon sat back down on their chairs, their expressions sour. The old man, who now tottered up the long red carpet towards the throne, was very weather-beaten and rather dirty, with a straggly beard and ragged, patched clothes. He snatched off his cap, and he approached the king, looking thoroughly frightened. And when he reached the place where people usually bowed or curtsied, he fell to his knees instead. "Your Majesty," he wheezed. "Your Majesty," Spittleworth imitated him softly, making the old shepherd sound like a sheep. Flapoon's chins trembled with silent laughter. "Your Majesty," continued the shepherd, "I have travelled for 5 long days for to see you. It has been a hard journey. I has ridden in hayricks when I could, and walked when I couldn't, and my boots is all holes." "Oh, get on with it, do," muttered Spittleworth, his long nose still buried in his handkerchief. "But all the time I was travelling, I thought of old Patch, sire, and how he'd help me if I could but reach the palace." "What is old Patch, good fellow?" asked the king, his eyes upon the shepherd's much-darned trousers. "'Tis my old dog, sire, or was, I should perhaps say," replied the shepherd, his eyes filling with tears. "Ah," said King Fred, fumbling with the money purse at his belt. "Then, good shepherd, take these few gold coins and buy yourself a new—" "Nay, sire, thank ye, but it bain't the question of the gold," said the shepherd. "I can find myself a puppy easy enough, though it'll never match old Patch." The shepherd wiped his nose on his sleeve. Spittleworth shuddered. "Well, then, why have you come to me?" asked King Fred, as kindly as he knew how. "To tell ye, sire, how Patch met his end." "Ah," said King Fred, his eyes wandering to the golden clock on the mantelpiece. "Well, we'd love to hear the story, but we are rather wanting our lunch. 'Twas the Ickabog that ate him, sire," said the shepherd. There was an astonished silence, and then Spittleworth and Flapoon burst out laughing. The shepherd's eyes overflowed with tears, which fell sparkling onto the red carpet. "Oh, they've laughed at me from Jeroboam to Sheffield, sire, when I've told them why I was coming to see you. Laughed themselves silly, they have, and told me I was daft in the head. But I see the monster with my own 2 eyes, and so did poor Patch afore he was 8. King Fred felt a strong urge to laugh along with the 2 lords. He wanted his lunch and he wanted to get rid of the old shepherd, but at the same time, that horrid little voice was whispering, selfish, vain, and cruel inside his head. "Why don't you tell me what happened?" King Fred said to the shepherd, and Spittleworth and Flapoon stopped laughing at once. "Well, sire," said the shepherd, wiping his nose on his sleeve again, "'twas twilight and right foggy, and Patch and me was walking home round the edge of the marsh. Patch sees a marsh teasel." "Sees a what?" asked King Fred. "A marsh teasel, sire. Them's bald rat-like things what lives in the marsh. Not bad in poise if you don't mind the tails." Flapoon looked queasy. "So Patch sees the marsh teasel," the shepherd continued, "and he gives chase. I shouts for Patch and shouts, sire, but he was too busy to come back. And then, sire, I hears a yelp. 'Patch!' I cries. 'Patch, what's got you, lad?' But Patch don't come back, sire, and then I sees it through the fog," said the shepherd in a low voice. "And then I see it through the fog," said the shepherd in a low voice. "Huge it is, with eyes like lanterns, and a mouth as wide as that there throne, and its wicked teeth shining at me. And I forgets old Patch, sire, and I runs and runs and runs all the way home. And next day I sets off, sire, to come and see you. The Ickabog ate me dog, sire, and I wants it punished." The king looked down at the shepherd for a few seconds. Then, very slowly, he got to his feet. "Shepherd," said the king, "we shall travel north this very day to investigate the matter of the Ickabog once and for all. If any trace of the creature can be found, you may rest assured that it shall be tracked to its lair and punished for its impudence in taking your dog. Now, take these few gold coins and hire yourself a ride back home in a hay cart." "My lords," said the king, turning to the stunned Spittleworth and Flapoon, "pray change into your riding gear and follow me to the stables. There is a new hunt afoot." Oke, jadi itu tadi adalah cerita The Ickabog. By the way, untuk teman-teman yang baru bergabung dengan channel Danz English, video ini sangat berguna untuk teman-teman berlatih listening dan pronunciation. Jadi tinggal ikuti teks yang ada dan silakan mengikuti dialog yang saya ucapkan. Jadi ikuti kata-katanya kurang lebih persis seperti yang saya ucapkan. Nah, di situ nanti teman-teman bisa berlatih pronunciation dengan cara membaca teks, insya Allah ya, dengan cara yang baik dan benar. Oke, cerita ini menyambung dari chapter 8 kemarin, di mana sang raja mengadakan petition day, yaitu hari di mana rakyat jelata bisa bertemu dengan raja, yaitu King Fred. Nah, ketika di chapter 8 itu pintunya mau ditutup, ternyata di akhir cerita itu ada yang telat datang. Nah, di sini ternyata kita ketahui bahwa yang datang itu adalah seorang shepherd, atau di sini kita shepherd itu adalah gembala ya. Biasanya gembala domba gitu. Nah, si gembala ini awalnya dikira dia kan kehilangan anjingnya gitu, mati kan. Dikira King Fred itu dia ingin minta anjing baru. Ternyata bukan itu maksud kedatangannya si shepherd ini, tapi dia ingin bercerita bahwa yang memakan anjingnya itu adalah monster di Ickabog. Nah, akhirnya King Fred memutuskan untuk mengajak Lord Spittleworth dan Lord Philpoon untuk menginvestigasi keberadaan di Ickabog ini dan menghukumnya gitu. Nah, oke. Sekarang kita akan belajar beberapa kosakata yang ada di sini ya. Yang pertama yaitu shepherd, artinya gembala. Contoh kalimatnya, the shepherd looked for the king's help. Si gembala tersebut meminta bantuan sang raja. Oke. Yang kedua, ini sebenarnya lebih kepada info tambahan ya. Jadi si shepherd ini di cerita di Ickabog ini dia digambarkan menggunakan apa yang kita sebut dengan broken English. Jadi contohnya ada di sini ya. The Ickabog ate me dog, sire. Nah, padahal me dog ini kurang tepat karena yang lebih pas itu pronounnya ya, kata gantinya itu adalah my dog. Jadi the Ickabog ate my dog, sire. Jadi monster di Ickabog memakan anjing saya, tuan, gitu. Terus yang berikutnya sebenarnya banyak ya, saya cuma mengambil 2 contoh saja. Yang berikutnya for he was eight. Harusnya ini adalah kalimat past ya, past tense, pasif. Jadi kita harus menggunakan verb 3. Jadi yang benar adalah for he was eaten. For ini sama dengan before ya, cuman for ini dia arkaik, artinya bahasa Inggris yang sudah lama gitu, artinya sekarang sudah tidak dipakai. Ini biasanya bahasa-bahasa mungkin zaman kerajaan zaman dulu atau sastra-sastra lama Inggris gitu. For he was ate. Nah, jadi yang benar adalah for he was eaten. Atau kalau mungkin konteksnya sekarang kita mungkin lebih banyak menggunakan kata before he was eaten. Oke, sekian dulu cerita di Ickabog chapter 9 dari J.K. Rowling. Untuk latihan pronunciation dan listening teman-teman sekalian, nantikan kelanjutannya di video berikutnya. I'm Danny and I'll see you later. Bye bye.